The first light of dawn always arrived gently in Umueze. It did not rush. It did not force its way into the world. Instead, it crept slowly over the rolling hills, stretching thy fingers of gold across the red earth, waking the village in soft whispers. Roosters crowd from different compounds, their voices overlapping in a chorus that had marked the beginning of every day for generations. A thin mist hovered above the ground, clinging to the grass and drifting lazily between huts made of clay and thatched. Life stirred. Women stepped out of their homes, wrapping their wrappers tightly around their waists, tying headscarves with practiced ease. Clay pots rested against their hips or balanced atop their heads as they prepared for the morning walk to the stream. "Have you heard?" one woman asked, her voice low but lively. "Heard what?" another replied, adjusting her scarf. "Nothing new," she said with a laugh. That is the beauty of this village. Nothing ever happens. They laughed together, and in that laughter lived a quiet pride, the pride of a place untouched by chaos, untouched by tragedy. Men emerged softly after, shoulders broad, bodies marked by years of labor. They carried hoes and cutlass, their steps steady as they made their way towards the farmland. Some exchanged nods, others spoke in short, familiar greetings. Children burst out of huts like released birds. Barefoot and bright-eyed, they ran across open spaces, chasing one another, their laughter echoing freely into the morning air. Dust rose beneath their feet, clinging to their skin that they did not mind. This was their world, safe, known, unchanging. Everything in Umueze followed a rhythm so perfect that no one ever questioned it. At the heart of Umueze stood something older than memory, the ancestral shrine. It was not the largest structure in the village, nor the most decorated. Its walls were worn, darkened by years of smoke from offerings and rituals. The wood creaked softly with age, and its carvings, symbols passed down through generations, had begun to fade. But no one ever mistook its importance. Every children knew better than to play too close to it. Even the boldest men lowered their voices when passing by, because the shrine was not just a place, it was a presence. Inside it, the elders said, lived the ancestors, not in flesh, not in bone, but in spirit, in memory, in judgment. Every new moon, the elders gathered there. They poured libations. They spoke to the unseen. They listened, or at least they believed they did. The ancestors guide us, Elder Nwafor would say during gatherings, his deep voice steady and commanding. As long as we honor them, we will never fall. And for many years, it seemed he was right. The shrine had been quiet, too quiet. Silence can be comforting, but it can also be dangerous. In Umueze, the silence of the ancestors had lasted for years, long enough to become normal. long enough to be mistaken for approval. No strange dreams troubled the villagers. No unexplained signs appeared in the sky or the earth. No warnings came through the wind. And so life continued, unquestioned, unexamined. The elders grew older, carrying secrets they never spoke aloud. The middle aged lived their lives, trusting the foundation laid before them. And the children knew nothing at all. They did not know that peace can sometimes be built on buried truths. They did not know that silence does not always mean forgiveness. They did not know that something forgotten does not mean something gone. Because if they had known, perhaps they would have listened more closely to the wind. There are things the earth remembers, even when people chose to forget. Beneath the red soil of Umueze lay stories that had never been told to the younger generations. Stories of conflicts, of fear, of decisions made in desperation, or perhaps in greed. But above that soil, life was calm, too calm. Even the wind seemed careful, as though it carried something it did not yet want to release. In the evenings, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of orange and gold, the elders would gather in the village square. They spoke of harvests, marriages, and minor disputes, never of the past, never of anything that came before their version of peace. Sometimes, one of the older elders would fall silent mid conversation, their gaze drifting towards the sacred grove at the edge of the village. But when asked what troubled them, they would simply shake their heads. It is nothing, they would say, and the conversation would move on. There is a kind of peace that feels permanent, a peace that convinces people that tomorrow will always look like today. Umueze lived in that peace. Days passed, weeks passed, nothing changed. The stream flowed gently, reflecting the sky like a mirror. Crops grew strong and green. Laughter filled the air. Nights were calm, wrapped in the soft sounds of insects and distant drums. And so, the people believed. They believed that whatever had once threatened their village was gone forever. They believed that silence meant safety. They believed that the ancestors had nothing left to say. But somewhere, deep beneath the soil, deep within memory, deep within the unseen, something was stirring, not loudly, not violently, but patiently waiting. Because the ancestors do not forget, and when they finally speak, it is never without reason. The day had been normal, too normal. The sun rose as it always did. The villagers walked, laughed, argued over small things, and returned home before dusk. Nothing seemed out of place, and yet something was. It began in the evening. The wind, which usually danced playfully through the palm trees, stopped. not slowed, stopped. The leaves hung still, as though time itself had paused to listen. Birds that normally chirped loudly before nightfall fell silent. Even the goats grew restless, shifting uneasily and bleating in low, uncomfortable tones. A strange heaviness settled over Umueze. People noticed, but no one spoke of it. Because sometimes fear begins as something too small to name. At the edge of the village, where a sacred grove cast long shadows even before sunset, Mama Ejiro sat outside her hut. Her hands moved slowly over a wooden mortar, grinding herbs she had used for years. But today, her rhythm was off. She paused, listened, nothing, and yet everything. Her chest tightened. This air is not clean, she muttered to herself. She had lived long enough to recognize when the world shifted in ways others could not yet feel. There was a language to silence, a language she had learned long ago. And right now, the silence was speaking. She tried to ignore it. Old age, she told herself. Nothing more. But her hands would not steady. Her heart would not slow. It came without warning, a soft vibration beneath her feet. Mama Ejiro froze. The pestle slipped from her hand, landing with a dull thud on the ground. She looked down slowly. Then she heard it. Fire! Her breath caught instantly. Her eyes widened, searching the empty space around her. Who is there? She whispered. No answer. Only stillness. Then again, clearer this time. Closer. Fire will come. Her knees trembled. With shaking hands, she lowered herself to the ground and pressed her palm against the earth. The soil felt warm, alive, and then the voice returned, deeper now, layered, as though many voices spoke at once. They have forgotten. A sharp cry tore from her throat. Mama Ejiro's scream cut through the village like a blade. Men dropped what they were doing. Women rushed out of their huts. Children clung to their mothers as the sound echoed in the darkened sky. By the time the first villagers reached her hut, she was on the ground, her fingers digging into the soil as though trying to hold it together. They are speaking, she cried, her voice breaking. The ancestors are speaking. What did they say? Someone asked, urgently. Her body shook violently. Fire, she shouted. Fire will come. They are angry. Mourners spread through the crowd. Fear, confusion, disbelief. Elder Nwafor pushed his way forward. His face turned but controlled. Calm yourself, he said. Tell us clearly, what did you hear? Mama Ejiro looked straight at him, not past him, not around him, at him. They said, her voice dropped, trembling, that we have forgotten. Something flickered across Nwafor's face. Gone almost immediately. The villagers waited for explanation, for clarity, for something that would make sense of what they had just heard. But none came. Instead, Whispers turned into quiet laughter among some of the younger men. She is old, one of them said. Her mind is no longer strong. Others nodded. Even some women sighed in relief, choosing disbelief over fear. Because fear required action, and action required truth. Elder Nwafor straightened his back. There is nothing to fear, he said firmly, his voice carrying authority. The ancestors will not bring harm to their own people. Mama Ejiro shook her head desperately. You do not understand, she cried. This is not a blessing, it is a warning. But the crowd was already pulling away. People prefer comfort to truth, and comfort was easier to accept. One by one, they left, until only a few remained, and even they did not stay long. Night fell fully over Umueze, but it did not feel like other nights. The usual sounds, the insects, the distant drumming, the soft conversations between families felt distant, muted, as though covered by an invisible weight. Mama Ejiro sat alone, her body still trembling, her eyes fixed on the ground. They have started, she whispered. In the distance, a child began to cry. Then another, and another. A ripple of unease spread quietly through the village, not loud, not chaotic, but present, like smoke before a flame. That night, the children dreamed, not one, not two, many. They saw flames rising into the sky. They saw huts collapsing. They heard voices calling from within the fire. Some woke up screaming. Others woke in silence, their bodies frozen, their eyes wide open in the dark. Parents tried to calm them. It is only a dream, they said. Go back to sleep. But the children knew something the adults refused to accept. This was not imagination. This was memory. Among all the children, one changed the most. Chike. By morning, he had stopped talking completely. His mother called his name. He did not answer. She touched his face. He only stared. His eyes were not empty. They were full, too full. Later that day, she found him outside, scratched on the ground, drawing with a stick. She leaned closer, and her heart nearly stopped. He had drawn the village, but it was burning. Chike continued drawing, one image after another. Flames consuming huts, people running, shadows inside the fire. His mother grabbed his arm suddenly. Stop this, she snapped. You will bring evil upon us. Slowly, Chike lifted his head, and for the first time, he spoke. They are already here. His voice was quiet, too quiet. A cold fear settled into his chest because deep down, she believed him.